Yo, what is up everyone, and welcome back to episode 5 of Look Mum No Hands, the 4% Rule. Following up on episode 4, where we talked about the FIRE movement, which is a roadmap to financial independence, in this episode we're going to go a little bit deeper and we're going to talk about the 4% Rule, which is basically the mathematical concrete on which this roadmap is built. I hope you like that analogy, because I sure as hell do. After covering this topic, we're going to talk about the 3 core elements that influence how much money you need and how long it will take you to achieve financial independence in the next video, namely your costs, your assets, and your income. I think it's really important that we find a way to break down the topic of financial independence into practical actions at the end of all of this. So at the end of the next video, you will walk away with actionable advice that will help you take your first steps in the right direction. You're welcome. In this video, however, we're going to keep it theoretical with the 4% rule. And don't let that deter you, because anyone who knows anything about anything knows that you've got to know the theory if you want to put it into practice. Oh, but don't worry. We found a way to make something that might seem theoretical and dry, like the 4% rule, interesting and entertaining just for you. So hang on tight, and here we go. So what is the 4% rule? The 4% rule was developed by financial planner William Bengen in 1994. Bengen was banging. Bengen's rule was banging, is what I meant. Maybe he was banging too, but the rule was definitely banging. Bengen wanted to establish a safe rate of withdrawal that would give retirees confidence that they weren't going to outlive their savings. So the 4% rule was created historical data on stock and bond returns over a 50-year period from 1926 to 1976. The 4% rule states that you can comfortably withdraw 4% of your savings in your first year of retirement and adjust that amount for inflation for every subsequent year without risking running out of money for at least 30 years. So what the fuck does that mean? Let me break it down for you. Like a fraction. Now in this example, we're going to use a fictional currency. This currency, which goes by the name of Amrit coin, exists in any denomination of your choosing. That's right. One Amrit coin could be $100, 50 yen, 69 rupees, whatever you want. Amrit coin doesn't discriminate. All we know is that it's incredibly valuable. So here's the example. Say you have 1 million Amrit coin, which is a lot, invested in stocks and bonds. Every year, you can withdraw 4% of this 1 million Amrit coin, which is 40,000 Amrit coin per year. This 40,000 Amrit coin is the percentage at which your investments are growing over the years on average based on Mr. Bengen's research. Additionally, if the rate of inflation were to go up by say 2% the next year, you would also give yourself a 2% raise the next year. This means you're adjusting for inflation, withdrawing 40,800 Amrit coin the next year, and so forth over the next 30 years. The idea essentially is that once you have enough money allocated to the right type of assets, you can withdraw a percentage of these assets every year, which ideally would cover your cost of living, because your assets are growing by the percentage plus inflation every year on average. So what's the point of all of this? I hear you asking. The point is, with the 4% rule, you can reverse engineer the total amount of money you need in assets before heading into retirement. And you can do this using a 25x calculation, which is essentially the inverse of the 4% rule. So let's look at this the other way around. Let's say that your cost of living is 40,000 Amrit coin per year. Living rich. This means that once you have 1 million Amrit coin invested in assets, which is 40,000 Amrit coin times 25, theoretically you could live off these assets for the next 30 years, as long as you're not withdrawing more than 4% a year plus inflation. So the great thing about the 4% rule is that it can help you think about A, what might your average cost of living be over the course of your life? B, how much money you require in assets to meet that cost of living? And C, how much time it will take you to acquire those assets. So the 4% rule is a good place to start, but it does have some caveats, and these take shape in the assumptions that the rule makes. Firstly, the rule isn't dynamic enough to respond to lifestyle changes. It assumes that your spending will remain consistent over the years, and it also assumes that you never have years where your spending is more or less than the inflation increase. It doesn't account for larger spendings at the beginning of retirement, for example, due to travel or hobbies, or increased spending towards the end of retirement due to, let's say, medical expenses. Secondly, the 4% rule also doesn't account for changing market conditions. In a recession, it's probably not wise to step up your withdrawal amounts. You probably want to reduce them slightly. But when the markets are doing well, then you might be able to withdraw more than 4% comfortably. Either way, the future always holds surprises. Thirdly, you should be aware that the 4% rule is an older rule. Following, it no longer necessarily guarantees that you won't run short of funds, as the rule was developed when bond interest rates and saving rates were much higher than they are now. Finally, it also assumes that you will stop working at some point and stop earning money, which may not necessarily be something that you're planning on doing. You might be after that barista-fire lifestyle we talked about in the last video. So take the 4% rule with a pinch of salt. Some people say you should apply 3%, other people say you can apply 5%, some even say you can apply 7%. Either way, one thing the formula undeniably does help with, or has certainly helped me with, is in reframing the way you think about your cost of living, the way you build assets, and your current and future ability to generate income. After all, it is these three factors that make up the core of the formula. Your cost of living determines how much money you roughly need in assets to retire. The assets define the potential annual return generated, your passive income in this case, and also therefore the rate that you can withdraw at. And your current and future income defines how long it will take you to build sufficient assets to retire. And it's exactly these three elements that we're going to talk about in the next video. Look at that. Leaving it at a cliffhanger. Who would have thought? And that's it. So once again, if you're still here and haven't gone into a panic because you don't own any Amrit coin and really wish you did, do stick around and head over to the next video, because that's where we're going to really break it down for you and bring it down to things that are actually in your control. Thank you so much for watching. We really hope this video was useful for you. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up. Please leave a comment below. Tell us what you're doing to achieve financial independence. And that's a wrap. See you in the next video. Peace out.